Is I got a call from an agent who had another agent in our company do an open house for her. And she was very unhappy because the agent who did the open house for her talked to the seller, told them their price was too high, that they weren't in line with the neighbor, just a bunch of stuff that and they're getting to the end of the listing, and now the seller doesn't want to relist, they don't want to extend the listing. So if you do an open house for somebody and it's their listing, don't do anything at all without their permission. Make sure that you have asked for permission before you make suggestions to the seller or anything like that, or talking about price or trying to negotiate price. I guess this person did a bunch of stuff. She wouldn't tell me who it was, so whoever, even if it was someone here, I don't know who it is. But anyway, just be careful on that. Okay, second thing.
God, I wish I didn't hear that. That is so bad.
I know.
That is terrible.
She was very upset. She was very upset. Okay, so the other thing I want to share before we start is that, car, I don't know how many of you guys go on the car website near as much as I do, but they have what I call one of their flashing things about a scam. And I like to share those because eventually they seem to all get around to somebody in our company. So they're saying that they're getting reports of scammers purporting to be from power or other utility companies that are retrieving the listing agents or the purchase agent, the buyer's agents' names and contact information. Then the scammers claim that the seller has not paid their electric bill and is subject to disconnection of service. Scammers tell the real estate agent if the utility bill is not paid, the agent will not be able to show the house. They ask the listing agent to tell their seller to call a phone number and pay using a prepaid card, Bitcoin, or cash payment app such as Zelle or Venmo. Okay, that should be your first clue, is they don't take credit cards and they want you to pay in some other form. But again, if you get a call from a power company, be aware. If we do, we like to report it back to CAR. They keep track of these things. We had a scam going around not too long ago, which about 3 of our agents got caught in, and CAR was doing it and they were taking care of everybody. So anyway, if you get a call from a utility company and they're trying to get money paid by, and one of the choices of payment is Bitcoin, you should always be suspicious. So, okay. So today we are going to go over Article 10. And I think April, it turns out, is Fair Housing Month, but we're doing it in March because I already planned it before I knew that. So we'll be way ahead of the game. So because the Code of Ethics is about fair housing and fair employment, and it's stuff that everybody knows is out there, but perhaps doesn't think about often enough, so that, because we all have unconscious biases, and it's really hard to get rid of those. And so keeping in mind what the rules are maybe will help. Okay, Article 10. Realtors shall not deny equal professional services to any person for reasons of race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity. Realtors shall not be parties to any plan or agreement to discriminate against a person based on race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity. And I just keep reading them so that they sink in. Okay. Realtors in their real estate employment practices, and I put that in red because it comes up again later, in their real estate employment practices shall not discriminate against any person on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity. Okay, so we can't discriminate in denying services, right? We can't even be a party to it. So if you have a client who, and we're going to do some examples, and if you have a client who tells you that they're sorry, but they have a deal with the neighbors that no one will sell their house to anyone who isn't I don't know, white, let's just say, white and Christian. Okay, so you get the, they call you out, they want you to be their listing agent. They say, you can bring us whatever you want, just, bring us stuff, but just so you know, we're not accepting an offer, without this and without knowing this information and without it being accurate. Well, it doesn't matter that you're going to present all the offers. It doesn't matter as to anything except for that you now know why they are not going to accept some of the offers if they have multiple offers, if they're that lucky. And you can't participate in that. Okay, you can't unknow something that the seller tells you. If the seller tells you that they're going to discriminate, you can't, and then you can't just kind of say, well, let's just pretend we never talked about this. Okay, so those are all places that we cannot discriminate in our practice. It gets, I don't know if worse is the right word or better, but it gets more complicated. Okay, standard of practice 10.1. When involved in the sale or lease of a residence, realtors shall not volunteer information regarding the racial, religious, or ethnic composition of any neighborhood, nor shall they engage in any activity which may result in panic selling. However, realtors may provide other demographic information. So you have a buyer and they want to know what is the racial, religious, or ethnic composition of this general area. I don't even know if that's public information or if you could find it somewhere, but in any case, you're not allowed to give out that information. When you are involved in the sale or lease, you cannot give out that information. It is considered discrimination, and you are participating in discrimination. Okay, so the next one is when you're not involved in the sale or lease of a residence. So you're just Joe Realtor walking down the street, and somebody comes up to you and says, well, they're working with a realtor, but they have this question. Can you provide me with, my realtor says they can't provide me with demographic information related to the who lives in the neighborhood. Could you do it? Because you're not involved in the transaction. Okay. So when not involved, realtors may provide demographic information related to a property, transaction, or professional assignment to a party if such demographic information is deemed by the realtor to be needed to assist with or complete in a manner consistent with Article 10, a real estate transaction, okay? Or is obtained or derived, and also is derived from a recognizable, reliable source. You can't make it up based on your own or your company's, information. So transaction or professional. So you can give out information if you deem it is necessary, but then they threw in consistent with Article 10. So you could never deem that discriminatory information is necessary. It is never necessary, never. Okay. So that's why they say, and consistent with Article 10, that even if you're not involved in the transaction, you really can't give that information out unless it's necessary and it is not discriminatory. Okay, we don't. Standard of practice 10.3. Realtors shall not print, display, or circulate any statement or advertisement with respect to selling or renting of a property that indicates any preference, limitations, or discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity. And if you're not sure what any of these are, let me know, let somebody know. You can, kind of let you know what's in this category. Okay. Standard of practice 4. As used in Article 10, and now it comes back to real estate employment practices, which we're not allowed to discriminate in, relates to employees and independent contractors providing real estate related services and the administrative and clerical staff directly supporting those individuals. So now, if you are all on board with Article 10, but your TC makes a comment that is discriminatory, or someone else, or it's not really your escrow officers, escrows are independent, but from your escrow or any of those things, if any of those people do it, it's going to reflect on you, and it's going to be a discrimination on your part because it's the staff that's helping you do your deal. So you need not only to be careful about yourself, but you need to know, who you're working with and making sure that that's not happening. Okay, standard of practice 10.5. This is the one they added in 2020. And this is the one that takes all the others and makes them like, yeah, okay. But this one says realtors must not use harassing speech, hate speech, epithets, or slurs based on race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity. Okay, notice there's nothing in here about being in a transaction, doing a lease, doing a sale, being asked. This is in your life. This is a realtor. They passed a code of ethics that governs every single place a realtor lives. It does whatever, your whole life. Okay, so you should keep that in mind, that anywhere in your life, if you use any of these things, you would be in violation of the code of ethics and someone could bring you up on charges. Okay, so I think those are I think, you know, that was the one they added that's so horrible. And I don't know if we've seen a lot of enforcement of that yet. We have seen some, I know. But anyway, you should be aware of that realtors in their entire life cannot do these things. So you can't in your free time on your personal Facebook page or whatever the other one is, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. Anyway, showing my age. Anyway, you can't on any of those pages do anything that is discriminatory, say anything that is discriminatory. It doesn't matter that has nothing to do with your business. It doesn't matter that you're whatever, it's your whole life. Okay. Okay. The first thing I want to go over, I'm sorry, is way at the end. So I'm going to start at the end because I really think this is important. So we had a, what is the definition of handicapped? Yeah, I think this is it right here. We had an agent who we have an agent currently who is selling a property that is within a block or less of a sober living facility. Okay, this one's a sober living facility. It could be any other kind of group home. Okay, it could be any type. It could be, you know, at a jail group home. It could be any kind of group home. Okay, so she calls and she says, "Do I disclose that?" You know, and she said, "I've already talked to the neighbor. The neighbors, I didn't know it, but the neighbor came over and told me." That's how the agent knew. The seller did not know either. But darn that neighbor, once you know something, you can't unknow it. And the neighbor told them. So do they have to disclose it? So we did some research on this, and I called Carr because this is important, because I was pretty sure that this was the rule, but I just wanted to make totally sure. Okay. So is there an affirmative duty to disclose the existence of a community care facility? And we're talking about this right now, because it's considered discrimination. And so that's why, if you're wondering why this is coming up. Okay. Okay, is there an affirmative duty to disclose the existence of a community care facility serving 6 or fewer persons, which would be in a house? Okay. The intent of the legislature is not only to permit, but to encourage the development of sufficient numbers of these facilities. The law clearly promotes the existence of these facilities. Okay. So given that we don't have to read every single word on here, but however, is the existence of such a facility a material fact which must be disclosed, even if it's not deemed a nuisance? Even if you didn't, like our seller didn't even know it was there. There's nothing that the seller saw or heard that would indicate that there was something different about this house. Okay. Okay, so it's not okay. According to the California Attorney General opinion, the location of a licensed care facility serving 6 or fewer persons is not a material fact required to be disclosed under California law. Okay. I think that okay, so in conclusion, neither a licensee nor a seller need disclose the existence of a community care facility in the neighborhood serving 6 or fewer people. Okay. I think there was one more thing on here I wanted to talk about, question 20. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let's just say you didn't disclose it, the seller didn't disclose it, no one disclosed it, but when the people were coming out, and maybe will be the case in our sale, the neighbor will run over and tell them, just like you ran over and told the agent. So the question is disclosure in response to an inquiry permitted? So now your buyer comes to you and says, hey, the neighbor said this, is that true? Okay. So now they've asked, you haven't brought it up, you haven't said anything, they're asking. Okay, so yes, you can, is disclosure of the existence of in response to an inquiry permitted? Yes, providing that the response is factual, not intended to aid discrimination or against a segregation of licensed care facilities within the community, and in fact does not have that effect. So your answer would be yes, I believe it is. I believe that is, you could say that, you could confirm it if you knew. If on the other hand, there's something that goes on in or about this house that is a nuisance, then you would have to disclose it. Okay. You wouldn't disclose a facility, but in the last 2 months, 6 times there's been someone running naked down the street, and then running out, running back in. And that you might want to disclose that there's a house down there and we have a person who runs naked down the street every Tuesday or whatever, or whatever they're doing, or there's always, a ton of noise at that one house. You tell what is actually factual about what's going on without, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this, but without any judgment about why it's going on. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So yes, you see that house down there, there's one guy that sits outside naked, twice a week. I'm sorry about that example, but it's the only thing I can think of that thinks it's so obvious. So you could disclose that, but you're not disclosing that he lives in a sober facility or a group home of any kind. So yes, you do have to tell the truth if you're asked, because obviously what would it mean to say, well, I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to say. That would be like saying yes, so you are allowed to say yes. Okay, so does anyone have any questions on that portion of non-discrimination?
Only how do you know if it's 6 or less?
Well, I think there might be I think it's 6 or less, because I think there's a law that's the most you can have. But I would assume every city is different, and so every city there could be some with less, but
More.
I don't know, or more. I don't think group homes have more than 6 people. But you could be a huge house, right, with a lot of bedrooms. So I don't know how you know, and I guess you would, I don't know. The neighbor, in our case, in the one I've been talking about, the neighbor, I think gave the buyer's agent the phone number of someone, or gave us, the listing agent, the phone number of someone who supposedly runs the house. But when she called, it was someone who used to a long time ago, didn't know anything about it. So I don't know how you would get that information. I don't. But if there's ever a question, we'll find it somehow. We'll look up the city, we'll see what the limit is. Because I believe that's the limit for a group home. Okay, let's go back to some other examples of discrimination. Okay. A minority couple called on Realtor A and expressed interest in purchasing a home between $390,000 and $435,000. Price range with at least 3 bedrooms, a large lot, and located in the Cedar Ridge area of town. Being familiar with Cedar Ridge through handling of numerous listings in the area, Realtor A explained that houses in Cedar Ridge generally sold in the prices of $540,000 to $660,000. The couple thereafter indicated that they would then like to see what was available within their budget. After further discussion with the couple concerning their financial circumstances and the maximum price they could offer, Realtor A concluded that the couple could not afford more than $412,000. The couple was then shown homes which met the criteria that they were looking for, that were in the $412,000 price range. However, although Realtor A discussed with the couple the amenities and assets of each property, they expressed no interest in any of the properties shown. A few days later, the minority couple filed charges with the Professional Standards Administration, saying that the Article 10 had been violated because it was racial steering. They steered them into a neighborhood that was more likely, well, you'll see. Okay. At the hearing, the complainants elaborated on their charge telling the hearing panel that they had specifically expressed an interest in purchasing a home in the Cedar Ridge area, but were not shown any homes in Cedar Ridge. Huh. Well, Realtor A responded, we're not going to read this because of course he responded by saying, if there was something to show you, I would have showed it. There's no house in that price range in Cedar Ridge. And he brought the proof, which is what you should always do, is not just say it, but bring the proof. Look at, here's the properties. Do you see any that are 412? Okay. He said the realtor said he had advised the client and that they knew that and that they knew what the price ranges were. And basically the guy said, I wanted to sell him a house. If there was a house in Cedar Ridge for that price, I'd have sold it to him. So anyway, the agent didn't do anything wrong. Okay. He did what he could. He showed him houses in their price range. You know, certainly don't have a duty to show people houses they can't afford just because they want to see a house in a city. But you know, if the buyer could have come up with houses in Cedar Ridge at their price range that were never shown, this would be a problem, but they couldn't. Okay. Realtor B, a salesperson affiliated with Realtor A, answered an email from Prospect C, a recent college graduate who was moving to the city to take his first job at this high school. Prospect C was married, 2 young children, and a veteran. Okay, he decided they could agree to $240,000. He described all the options available in the area, and he showed them houses. On Monday, at a faculty meeting, Prospect C met Prospect D, who was also moving into the city to take a teaching position at the same high school and who was also in the market for a home. Prospect D was married with 2 young children and was also a veteran. Prospect C told Prospect D of Realtor B's knowledge of the market and VA financing and how helpful he had been. Prospect D called Realtor A's office that afternoon, asked for Realtor B, and asked for Realtor B, and asked for Realtor B. Okay. Realtor B met Prospector D and determined Prospect D could also afford a home in the 240 range. Prospect D told Realtor B that he was also a new teacher at the high school and had been referred by Prospect C. Prospect D was Black. Okay, Realtor B showed Prospect D houses in several neighborhoods undergoing racial transition, but did not show Prospect D homes in neighborhoods near the high school. Prospect D asked about houses closer to Northwest High School. Realtor B replied that he had no knowledge of any homes in that area for which Prospect D could qualify. How does that even make sense when you were referred by somebody in the same circumstances? Okay. The next day, Prospect D, while visiting Prospect C, related his problem in finding a home near the high school and learned that Realtor B had shown Prospect C several homes near the high school. Prospect D filed a complaint for discrimination against them. At the hearing, Realtor B admitted that he did not use the same efforts to show Prospect D properties in neighborhoods near the high school as he did with Prospect C because he felt Prospect D and his family would feel more comfortable living in a racially integrated neighborhood. Whoa, so when you guys are smart enough to make life decisions for other people, you should be more than a realtor. We don't make life decisions for people, we just make recommendations. So anyway, he got in trouble, obviously. That was clear discrimination. Okay. Not enter the listing, okay. Okay. A listed a property in a new subdivision at the instruction of his client. So now its seller says, Realtor A do not enter this in the MLS, don't place a for sale sign on the property, and don't advertise the property online. Okay. Seller X had told Realtor A that he wanted the sale handled quietly, with the new purchasers being people who would, quote, fit into the neighborhood, people with the same socioeconomic background as the other residents of the subdivision. Based on the conversation with Seller X, Realtor A's only marketing effort was mailing a letter to the other residents, inviting them to play a part in the decision. I'm sure we've all sent those letters out. If you know of someone who you would like to live in the neighborhood, please let me know. We got a house here. Okay. Realtor A's marketing strategy came to the attention of Realtor B, whose mother lived in the subdivision. Realtor B filed a complaint, charging Realtor A with a violation of Article 10. At the hearing, Realtor B told the panel of receiving a copy of the marketing letter from his mother, who had recently moved to the subdivision. Realtor B advised the panel that he had checked the MLS for information on the property, had driven past the house to look for a for sale sign, and had searched online for any information on the property. Finding nothing, Realtor B concluded that Realtor A's marketing strategy was to limit access to the property to individuals pre-selected by the current residents, which kind of it was, right? In my mind, said Realtor B, this could only mean one thing. Realtor A was deliberately discriminating against home buyers from other areas or those with different backgrounds who would never have the opportunity to learn about the house's availability. Obviously, Realtor A was directing all of his marketing energies into finding purchasers who would not disrupt the ethnic and economic character of the neighborhood. I don't know why it says obviously, but okay. So now we have this realtor who's using only that marketing tool, only. Realtor A defended his actions by advising the panel that he was acting on his client's instructions. Clearly, he never read the code of ethics. Realtor A appeared as a witness. The seller came in and appeared, and he admitted that I told him to do this. Seller X felt that by broadening the marketing campaign to include all residents of the subdivision, he had increased the chances of finding the purchaser enough. The hearing panel, of course, found a violation of Article 10 because just because your client wants it, it doesn't mean you can do it. And doing something like this where you only do one type of marketing, that's exactly, you can put anyone can put two and two together. Why is there no sign? Why is there no MLS? The only thing you're doing is asking for referrals from people who live in the neighborhood. It's not going to apply. Not going to apply. I don't know. I threw this one in. I think it's kind of a duplicative of everything else. But prospect C was a female head of household, and she wanted to look at homes in this price range. And anyway, she filed a complaint against a realtor because she felt that he didn't give her the same services as he would have given a male head of household. So because she was a woman, she felt like she was, and you gotta watch out for these things because there's people out there that are looking for all of these things. So anyway, that was her thing. It was obvious to me that Realtor A discriminated because I'm a woman. I don't know. He said that he was sorry she thought that he advised the panel that he routinely utilized he used a contact report for her, and which showed that she was a woman, etc. And that it was just her. Okay. And so he proved that he uses that all the time, not just for women. I use it for men. I use it for families. I use it for couples. I use the same form all the time. It helps me get information. Okay. So now he can prove he didn't do it discriminatorily. He does it for all his clients. And they said that it established that he was treating everybody the same. Oh, okay. This is another choose your neighbor letter. And I'm assuming that we send these letters, but some people send choose your neighbor letters. The ABC Association of Realtors received a complaint from a local fair housing group that Realtor A was using discriminatory marketing as a listing broker for a property in a new subdivision. In support of their complaint, the group provided copies of a choose your neighbor form letter sent by Realtor A to current neighbor residents. The letters announced that the property was on the market and invited neighbor residents to contact Realtor if they knew of anyone who they thought might be interested. This is a different scenario than the last one. At the hearing, Realtor A defended his use of choose your neighborhood form letters by demonstrating that they were just one element of his marketing campaign. And they were not an attempt to restrict access to the property to anyone based on any characteristic. So he produced banner advertisements, he produced, all other kinds of things. So I guess the point they put these two in is to show you that all of these kind of letters, all these neighborhood letters, there's nothing wrong with them unless they're your only type of advertising, and then it looks discriminatory. But if you're marketing the property to other people, it's okay. Yeah, they found them not in violation because there was no group approach. Okay, so this one's from we'll do one more. This one's from I'm sure what happened in Washington, D.C. after the election last time. A group of protesters supporting the equal treatment of women They changed the facts, gathered peacefully for a march in Washington. The group requested and was approved for the appropriate permits, et cetera, et cetera. Realtor A, in response to the march, posted on social media, "These morons have nothing better to do than come all the way to Washington to gripe about a problem that doesn't even exist. This is why women shouldn't be allowed to leave the house. Get back in the kitchen where you belong." Well, thank you, Realtor. So Realtor B saw Realtor A's comment. He filed a complaint. Realtor B argued that Realtor A's comment constituted objectively harassing speech on the basis of sex. I mean, I think clearly it did. In response, Realtor A argued that his comments were directed at protesters, which are not a protected class, and that in fact the group was comprised of both men and women. Well, he didn't say anything about the men. The panel noted that while his comments were addressed to a group of men and women, they included disparaging, discriminatory comments about women, not about protesters. That it demonstrated a clear, strong, and convincing proof that Realtor A had used harassing speech. So be careful. So anyway, so that's the message, is that we have to be fair. We have to give everybody an equal chance. And of course, our goal is to make money. And what do we care who we sell a house to or who buys a house? If they have the money, they can afford it, and we're going to make it to the end. Shouldn't matter to us, and it doesn't matter to us, or at least we're being told that it doesn't matter to us. So take that to heart. Okay, any questions? Okay. Hopefully you learned something, and we are all going to be better realtors than we already are every day. Thank you.
Yay.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Cindy.